Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Today I wanted to do a little mascara roundup for you guys on all of the new Revlon mascaras. And I'm talking about the ones in the colored caps. And we have the red, the pink, the green, the purple, and the blue. And I figured I would bring you my thoughts on them and show you some comparison pictures and just talk a little bit about each one of them so that you don't have to go out and buy all 5 if you don't want to. You can just kind of see which one might work best for you. So I'm just going to talk about these really in no particular order, and after I finish talking about each one, I'm going to show you an up-close shot of my eye without mascara, my eye with the mascara on, and then the wand. And then at the very end of the video, I'm going to have a whole matrix of all of them together so that you can see each one compared to each other. And then you can pause on that and take a look at it as long as you need to, and you can really see how each one compares to each other. So let's go ahead and get started. So first up, we're going to go over the one in the purple cap. This one is the Dramatic Definition Mascara. So this is one of only 2 of them out of the whole 5 that have a silicone brush on it. Typically, I don't really like those. They're not my favorite kind of brush, but this one actually really surprised me. I really liked how it worked. This is an up close of the brush that you get with that. There'll also be a picture of each brush after this, but that's what the brush looks like. You've got some evenly spaced little silicone bristles on there, and the formula is very kind of wet slash creamy. It's not super wet, but it's more of a wet texture than some of the others. After just putting on one coat, I was like, wow, my lashes look amazing. I really liked it. It really did get in there and separate out the lashes. So then as I'm going in with my second coat with this mascara, it is already dry on the first eye, and I'm going back to it to do that second coat, and it really doesn't build on itself very well. I just really did not see that I was getting very much of a difference. Once that first coat dried, there was just no adding on to it. It just wasn't sticking. Nothing was, you know, changing with it. So that was a little bit disappointing. Now that being said, after the first coat, it looks really, really good. So if you're wanting just more of a, you know, like your lashes but better type of situation, and you just want to go a little bit more natural with your makeup, do one really good coat of this mascara and it's going to look phenomenal. But adding on the second coat, just, you know, it doesn't really do anything for it. And I did find that on days where I tried to do the second coat, I did get a little bit of flaking by the end of the day. But if I stuck with just the first coat, I didn't get any flaking. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. So next up is the one in the pink cap, and it is the Ultra Volume. It does have a very fat brush on it, as you can see right here. And the formula in this one is very creamy. It's almost thick, but not too thick of a texture. Now, the interesting thing with this one is that whenever I went in with it, I didn't really feel like I got a whole lot of volume happening on my lashes. I didn't feel like it was really thickening them at all. I did get a little bit of length, which is good. I really like to have some length on my lashes because I have a decent amount of them. They're just not that long. So I really felt like it just didn't volumize very well, and I did notice that after I went in starting on my second coat, it started to clump up a little bit, and I tend to shy away from that. I don't really want clumpy lashes. I know that, you know, some mascaras are meant to do that, and some people really like that, but it's just not for me and for what I'm wanting to do. So if you don't really want clumpy lashes, you would have to only do one coat with this, and I don't feel like one coat really does anything. So the volume one was not my favorite. I don't really feel like it lived up to the volume claim on it. Also, because of the size of the brush, I did find it a little bit difficult to get into those bottom lashes to get anything on them and make it look good. So now our third one up here is the one in the green cap, and it is the Super Length formula. And the brush on this one is also a really fat brush. I would even say it's a little bit fatter than the volume brush and a little bit longer and tapered. And that is what it looks like up close. And you can kind of see here on the edges of the brush, there's little fibers in this formula. And also the bottle top of it, it gets really kind of gunked up because of the fibers. but the fibers also I feel like really help with how this mascara performs. This one, the super length one, I feel like once I put on the first coat, it looks freaking amazing. I love it. Going into the second coat, I don't feel like I get a whole lot more added length, but because there are fibers in it, I do get just a little bit more, so it does help to do the second coat. But with this one, you could definitely do one coat and it looks phenomenal. I also don't experience any flaking, but sometimes if you get too close to the base of your lashes and there's like a fiber sticking out, it can start poking your eye. So that does kind of hurt a little bit. And what I like to do is just take a Q-tip and just slightly wet it, just a drop of water, and just kind of go like this and hold my eye up like that and just run it along the inner edge. Was that really weird? I just like to run it along the inner edge of that waterline on the top, the rim of the eye, and it gets any fibers that might be right there at the base of your lashes. The formula on this one also is, in addition to having those fibers, it's very much a thicker formula, a little bit thicker than the volume one as well. And then again, because of the brush, it is a little bit more difficult to get those bottom lashes, but with this one, having the fibers, it does make it a little bit easier. I can just barely touch it and some of the fibers will adhere to my bottom lashes. So that's a plus for that one. Next up, we have the one in the blue cap, and this one is the Volume and Length Magnified. So it is kind of like if the pink and the green had a baby, you would get the blue cap. This one also has a bristle brush on it, and it is a little bit thinner overall than both of those. And then it's just a tiny bit tapered rather than being super tapered like the lengthening was. And then you can also see on the ends of these bristles that there are just a little bit of fibers in there. There's not as many fibers as in the lengthening one, but there's enough to give you a little bit of oomph to your lashes. And this formula is a little bit less thick than the lengthening one, and it's more on par with the volumizing formula. I can tell you this one is definitely more lengthening, and it does perform overall better though than the volumizing one. I was really surprised at how good this looked on my lashes. This is another one of those where you can throw on one coat and it looks really amazing, but also as I built it up to the second coat, it's looked even better. So this is definitely one of those that you can do either way. You can build it up or do the one coat, and it just gets better with each one. I would say though that as you add on more coats, if you plan on doing more than 2 with this one, you really need to keep the attention of your coats happening on just the edges of your lashes, the tips, and not concentrate it at the base, because it does tend to get a little bit clumpy if you're going to do more than 2 coats. Then the last one that we have here, guys, is the red cap one, and I believe that this is the very first one that they came out with, and then afterwards all the others came out in quick succession, but this is the ultimate all-in-one. And what is really interesting is that this one also has that silicone wand on it, but it looks like this. And you're like, what? Like, how am I supposed to use that? I initially did not want to get this just because I did not know what I was going to do with this wand. This formula does also have fibers in it. It has the lowest amount of fibers though. So the lengthening has the most, the volume and length magnified has the second most amount, and then this one has just a few. It doesn't have a whole lot, but there's enough to give your lashes just a little bit of extra something. The formula on this one is very wet, like very wet. Because of the way the wand is, it has like little wells in there. Do you see that between the rows of bristles? And that just packs on so much mascara that you have to be very careful about putting it on your lashes, that you don't get a bunch of clumping on there. And just the wetness of the formula immediately makes your lashes stick together a whole lot. And once it starts clumping up, it gets very tar-like, and it's very hard to unclump your lashes. You definitely have to go in with a different wand entirely. I like to use the CoverGirl Clump Crusher Extensions wand. If I really need to get in there and fix another mascara's mistake, that's my go-to. But it's really kind of a tricky mascara. You really have to work with it. You can't let the coats dry in between because otherwise it's just a mess. You're clumping as soon as you start that second coat if it's already dried. And, you know, I really like the length that I get with this one. It does look really nice. But then you get to the base of your lashes and everything is kind of clumped up together. And it's just such a wet, heavy formula that it's not holding a curl. And the crazy part is that this one, out of all of them, had the most insane flaking at the end of the day every single time that I wore it. Whether it was one coat, whether it was two coats, whether I tried to wear it on the bottom lashes, just black flakes all over my face. Like you would not believe. It's just, I don't like this one at all. The one that I am wearing today is Super Length, the green cap. It is the one that I recommend most highly if you really want that length. But again, I really like the dramatic definition as well if you're going to go in with a one coat, and also the volume and length magnified. My most hated one is the red cap one, and then the volume, it's just okay. I don't feel like it really does what it says it's going to do. So right after this, I am going to have that little matrix of all of the pictures comparing my bare eye with the mascara eye and the wand for all of these mascaras. So take a look at that and let me know if you like this style of video. I do plan on doing some reviews on the high-end and drugstore mascaras, all of them that I have, and I thought about doing them in this style where you can kind of see overall how each of them perform compared to each other. So let me know if you like it down in the comments. Give it a thumbs up if you like it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! Okay. Getting up close and personal with my eyeballs. Little brush. No. It's no good. No good.